My name is Daniel. I'm 47 years old. 8 years ago, I walked into a fractured house and told myself I could steady it. I believed that consistency could replace chaos, that presence could outgrow absence, that money, time, and patience, given quietly and without demand, could build something that felt like family. Yesterday, on a high school football field in a Denver suburb, I learned what I really was. It was Mia's graduation. The air was thin and sun-bleached, that dry Colorado heat pressing against the back of my neck. The stands were crowded with folding chairs and proud parents holding bouquets wrapped in crinkling cellophane. Laughter floated over the field in bursts. Cameras flashed. Names echoed over the loudspeaker. Lauren stood beside me, radiant in a pale blue dress. She looked proud, relieved, triumphant almost. Cole lingered somewhere behind us, scrolling on his phone, already detached from the moment. And Mia, cap angled perfectly, white dress crisp under her gown, makeup immaculate, stood in the center of it all. She held her diploma like it was proof of independence. We gathered for a photo, just a simple family picture on the turf. That's when she turned to me. Her expression wasn't angry. It wasn't emotional at all. It was composed, almost clinical. "This picture is for my real dad," she said evenly. "You're just an extra." No hesitation, no apology, just fact. Something inside me didn't explode. It didn't crack dramatically. It went quiet, like a room after a door closes too hard. Lauren let out a small, nervous laugh. The kind you use when someone says something uncomfortable, but you don't want to confront it in public. "Daniel," she said gently, touching my sleeve. "Maybe just step aside so we don't create an awkward situation." Create, as if I were the problem. As if my presence, not her daughter's words, was the disruption. Mia didn't look at me again. Her eyes were already scanning the crowd for Ryan. He was somewhere near the bleachers, holding a gift bag and probably rehearsing the right angle for a social media post. He'd appear in the picture, smile wide, caption it about "my girl growing up," and disappear again until Christmas. I didn't argue. I didn't ask for clarification. I stepped out of the frame. The photographer counted down. They smiled. Ryan slid into position. I watched from the edge of the field as the flash went off. I was close enough to hear the shudder, not close enough to belong. I turned and walked toward the parking lot. No one called my name. No one noticed the absence. The asphalt radiated heat. Cars sat in silence. The distant sound of applause carried faintly from the stadium. I stood between two faded white lines and stared at my reflection in a dark windshield. I looked like what I had become: functional, replaceable. Then I made a call. Calm, controlled, my voice steady. I contacted the bank and canceled the tuition transfer scheduled for the next morning. Mia's fall semester in Chicago, the private university she had insisted on because it's where serious designers go. The deposit I arranged months ago. The payment she never asked about because she never needed to. Then I called the insurance provider. Suspended coverage on the car registered in my name. Her car. The one I bought when she turned 16 because everyone else already drives something decent. I didn't shout. I didn't threaten. If I was just an extra, then my contributions were extra too. 8 years ago, Lauren was drowning quietly. 2 children. Bills that arrived faster than paychecks. Ryan already fading into a seasonal presence. Birthdays, holidays, curated appearances. I stepped in without promises of replacement. I never asked to be called dad. I never demanded loyalty. I just filled the gaps. Private school tuition because public wasn't enough. Orthodontics, dental surgeries, soccer travel fees, summer camps, laptops, Mia's design courses, her first internship wardrobe, college application fees, standardized testing prep. I replaced appliances when they broke, paid property taxes, covered utilities, managed repairs. I refinanced the mortgage under my name. I stabilized the house, and I did it quietly. Over time, something shifted. Mia stopped greeting me when I came home. Cole followed her cues. Lauren would squeeze my hand later and whisper, "They're just teenagers. Don't overreact." That word became familiar. Overreact. It meant swallow it. At dinner, conversations would orbit Ryan's occasional appearances. Dad says, Dad thinks? Dad's taking us out Saturday. I sat at the head of a table I paid for and felt like a guest. I told myself respect takes time. But yesterday proved something else. I wasn't a person in their eyes. I was infrastructure. And infrastructure is invisible until it fails. My phone started vibrating before I even left the parking lot. Lauren first. Confused. "Daniel, the bank notification. Is there a problem?" Then Mia. No ice in her voice now. Just urgency. "Why did I get an email about my tuition payment being canceled?" I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. I drove home in silence. By the time I walked through the front door, the shift was already happening. Lauren pacing. Mia on the couch, phone pressed tight to her ear. Cole standing near the kitchen doorway, watching everything with wide eyes. For the first time, the room wasn't balanced on my quiet compliance. It was unstable, and I felt calm. Not angry, just done. If I'm an extra, I thought, then let's see how the scene plays without me. When I walked into the house that afternoon, the air felt different. Thicker. Charged. Not with anger yet, with confusion. The kind that comes when something reliable suddenly shifts. Lauren was standing near the kitchen island, phone in hand, refreshing her banking app like the numbers might correct themselves out of courtesy. Mia sat rigid on the couch. Her graduation gown was draped over the armrest like shed skin. Her cap lay on the coffee table beside her phone, which kept lighting up with notifications. Each vibration made her flinch. Cole hovered near the hallway, watching everything the way younger siblings do when they sense tectonic movement but don't understand the fault lines. Lauren looked at me first. "Daniel," she said carefully, as if approaching a wounded animal, "there's some kind of mistake with the tuition payment." "No," I said evenly. "There isn't." The words landed heavier than I expected. Mia stood up. "What do you mean there isn't?" she asked. Her voice wasn't cold anymore. It was tight, controlled in a different way, the way someone speaks when they're trying not to panic. "I canceled it," I replied. Silence. It wasn't explosive. It was vacuum sealed. Lauren blinked at me. "Canceled it? Why would you do that? The deposit is due tomorrow." I looked at Mia. Not accusing. Not emotional. Just steady. "At graduation," I said quietly, "you clarified my role." Her jaw tightened. "Oh my God. You're being dramatic." Dramatic. That word again. "You said I was an extra," I continued. "Extras don't finance tuition." Lauren stepped forward quickly. "Daniel, she didn't mean. She meant it." I interrupted, still calm. "And I listened." Mia crossed her arms, defensive now. "You're really going to sabotage my future because of one comment?" "No," I said. "I'm removing myself from a position I was told I don't occupy." Her breathing changed. Faster. "This is insane," she muttered. "You can't just pull support like that." I almost smiled at the word support. Support implies structure, and structures collapse when removed. "I can," I said simply. Lauren's voice trembled. "Daniel, please. This isn't the time for ego." I turned to her slowly. "Ego?" I asked. "Lauren, I've paid for 8 years without asking for recognition. I've sat through comparisons. I've tolerated being sidelined. Today, your daughter defined me publicly. I'm responding privately." Mia scoffed. "You're acting like you've been abused." I felt something flicker, not anger. Clarity. "No," I said. "I'm acting like a man who just realized he's been invisible." Her eyes darted toward her phone again. Another notification. Another reminder that systems respond to payments, not feelings. "What about the car?" she asked suddenly. "I suspended the insurance," I replied. Lauren's head snapped toward me. "You what?" "It's registered in my name." Mia's composure cracked. "You can't do that. I need it for work. For school visits. For For what? I asked gently. For independence funded by someone you don't claim? She stared at me like I'd spoken another language. Cole finally spoke up, voice small. Dad. Mia whipped around. Don't call him that. The word hung there. Dad. Cole looked confused. Hurt. I looked at him and saw something fragile. Something not yet hardened like Mia. Lauren stepped between us all like a referee. This is spiraling, she whispered. Daniel, please. You're overreacting. Overreacting. The leash again. I walked to the dining table and sat down. Folded my hands. I didn't yell, I said quietly. I didn't humiliate anyone. I didn't make a scene on the field. I stepped aside. I made 2 phone calls. That's not overreaction. That's adjustment. Mia shook her head. You're punishing me. No, I replied. I'm aligning my actions with my assigned role. Lauren's voice dropped. Ryan can't cover this. That was the first honest sentence in the room. I know, I said. Mia's face drained. You talked to him? No, I said. But we both know the math. Silence again. Different this time. Heavier. For years, I had filled financial gaps so seamlessly that no one felt them. Now the gaps were visible. Lauren sat down slowly across from me. Daniel, she said, softer now. Families don't operate like contracts. No, I agreed. They operate on respect. Mia paced the room. This is about control. You just want to feel powerful. I watched her carefully. If I wanted control, I said quietly, I would have exercised it years ago. Her phone buzzed again. She checked it, and I saw the flicker in her eyes when she read the university's automated reminder about the unpaid deposit. Consequences move faster than pride. Lauren pressed her fingers to her temples. What do you want? She asked finally. The question surprised me. I want, I said slowly, to not be erased when it's convenient. Mia stopped pacing. You're making this bigger than it is, she said. But there was less certainty now. No, I replied. I'm making it proportional. Cole shifted uncomfortably. So, what happens now? I looked at each of them. Now, I said, we find out what real means. Lauren's eyes filled with something I hadn't seen before. Not anger, not confusion, recognition. For 8 years, I had absorbed every slight to preserve stability. Today, stability had answered back. And I wasn't moving. The first official notice arrived the next morning. It wasn't dramatic. No sirens. No shouting. Just an email. Mia was at the kitchen counter when her phone chimed. I watched her face as she read it. The color drained slowly, like someone turning down a dimmer switch. Payment not received. Deposit required to secure enrollment. Automated. Polite. Ruthless. Lauren was behind her, reading over her shoulder. They'll give us a grace period, she said quickly. We just need to call. Mia looked at me, not with contempt this time, with expectation. I was at the table reviewing work emails, sipping black coffee. The morning light cut across the hardwood floors. Everything looked ordinary. I didn't move. Daniel, Lauren said carefully, we need to fix this. We? I asked quietly. Mia's jaw tightened. Are you seriously going to let me lose my spot? You clarified that I don't occupy one, I replied. Her hands trembled slightly. This is my future. Yes, I said. It is. She stared at me, trying to locate the anger she expected, trying to provoke something she could fight. But I wasn't angry. I was finished. Her phone rang. Ryan. She answered immediately, stepping into the hallway. I could still hear her voice, though, lowered, tense. Dad, the tuition didn't go through. No, he canceled it. I don't know. Can you? Silence on the other end must have stretched long, because her posture changed. Deflated. No, it's due now. Dad, please. Lauren paced the kitchen, whispering, What is he saying? Mia returned a minute later. He says he'll try, she muttered. I knew what that meant. He wouldn't. Ryan had always been consistent in one way, consistent absence. Birthdays. Holidays. Public appearances. Never the infrastructure. Lauren sank into a chair. Daniel, he can't cover that kind of money. I folded my hands. Then we have a reality problem. Mia's eyes filled, but she fought it. You're enjoying this. No, I said calmly. I'm observing it. Another notification arrived. This time from the insurance provider. Coverage suspended. She checked her car keys instinctively, as if the metal itself might dissolve. You suspended the insurance too? She whispered. Yes. Why would you do that? Because it's registered to me. You're punishing me. No, I said again. I'm removing myself. Her voice broke then. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? Silence. Lauren leaned forward. Mia, explain. Mia wiped at her eyes angrily. It was just for the picture. Dad never gets good photos. He feels left out. I just didn't want. Me in the frame. I finished. It wasn't about you. That sentence hurt more than the original. Not about me. 8 years of presence reduced to peripheral. Lauren looked at me differently now. Less defensive. More calculating. You've thought about this before, she said quietly. Yes. The word landed heavy. This wasn't just the graduation. No. It had been the dinners where I was background noise. The conversations rerouted through Lauren. The comparisons. The public praise for Ryan's minimal appearances. The subtle demotion. Mia's voice softened. I was angry. At what? She hesitated. At everything. That's not an answer. She stared at the floor. Lauren exhaled slowly. Daniel, she's 18. She doesn't understand long-term consequences. She understands transactions, I said evenly. She just never had to participate in them. Cole finally spoke again, tentative. Is college really not happening? The room stilled. It can, I said. If someone funds it. Mia looked up sharply. You know he can't. I know he hasn't. Her breathing quickened. You're trying to prove something. Yes. Finally, honesty. And what is that? Lauren asked. That words matter. Mia shook her head. This is extreme. No, I said. Extreme is public humiliation followed by private expectation. Her composure cracked fully then. I said you were an extra in a picture, she shouted. Not in my life. I held her gaze. Then why did it feel identical? That stopped her. Lauren looked between us, something dawning in her expression. For years, she had relied on my steadiness, my quiet payments, my tolerance. She had mistaken silence for acceptance. My phone buzzed. A notification from the university portal confirming cancellation status. Final. Mia saw it on my screen. Her body went still. You really did it, she whispered. Yes. Lauren stood abruptly. We need to talk privately. We are, I said. No, she insisted. Alone. I stood and followed her into the bedroom. She closed the door, voice trembling now. What are you doing? I'm drawing a line. You're blowing up her future. I'm redefining my role. She stared at me, eyes wet. You've always been stronger than this. No, I said quietly. I've been quieter. She flinched. She didn't mean to erase you. She did. Lauren covered her face. Ryan can't step in. You know that. Yes. So what's the end game? I looked at her steadily. Respect. And if she apologizes? An apology isn't repair. It's acknowledgement. Lauren's shoulders slumped. You're not the man I married. I am, I said. You just never had to see this side. Outside the bedroom, Mia's voice rose again. Frustration mixing with fear. For the first time, the financial architecture she had leaned on was visible. And fragile. I opened the door and stepped back into the hallway. Mia looked up at me, eyes red now. What do you want me to say? She demanded. The truth, I replied. She swallowed hard. And for the first time since that football field, she didn't look at me like I was furniture. She looked at me like I was real. She didn't speak immediately. The house felt smaller that night. The walls closer. the air thinner. Mia stood in the middle of the living room, arms wrapped around herself, eyes red but steady. Lauren sat on the edge of the couch, silent in a way I hadn't seen before. Not defensive, not corrective, just watching. Cole lingered near the staircase, uncertain which direction loyalty required. "What truth?" Mia finally asked. Her voice was different now. Not sharp, not entitled. Stripped. "The truth about what I am to you," I said. She swallowed, looked at the floor, looked at her mother, then back at me. "I was angry," she said again, but softer. "Dad said he felt pushed out. He said you were trying to replace him." I didn't react. "And I didn't want him to feel that way," she continued. "So I said what I thought would balance it." Balance. The word almost made me laugh. "You balanced it by erasing me," I said quietly. She nodded once. "Barely visible." "I didn't think it would matter that much," she admitted. That was the first honest wound. "You didn't think I mattered that much," I corrected. Silence. Lauren finally spoke. "Mia." But I raised a hand gently. Not to silence Lauren, to stop the cushioning. This needed to land unfiltered. Mia's shoulders dropped. "I didn't mean you don't matter," she whispered. I've always had two worlds, and sometimes it feels easier to pretend they don't collide." "And I'm the collision," I said. She didn't deny it. Cole cleared his throat. "You pay for everything," he said quietly, like he was discovering it out loud. I looked at him. "Yes." Mia looked at her brother, then at me again. "I never asked you to," she said. "No," I agreed. "You never had to." That sentence changed something in the room. Lauren's eyes flickered. She understood it too. Dependence feels invisible until it's removed. "You could have talked to me," Mia said weakly. "I've been talking for 8 years," I replied. "You just didn't have to listen." She sat down slowly, as if her knees had given up. "I didn't expect you to actually do it," she admitted. That was the core. She thought I would always absorb it, always swallow it, always pay anyway. Lauren leaned forward. "Daniel, what happens now?" I looked at Mia. "Now," I said, "we rebuild honestly or we don't rebuild at all." Mia wiped her face. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not your wallet. I'm not a placeholder. I'm not a threat to your father. I'm either part of this family or I'm not." "And if I say you are?" she asked carefully. "Then act like it. Not grand gestures. Not titles. Behavior." The room stayed quiet for a long time. Finally, Mia nodded slowly. "I went too far," she said. "I said something cruel because it was easy, and I didn't think there would be consequences. There it was. Not love. Not gratitude. Understanding. I won't beg you," she added, voice shaking. "But I'll work. I can get a job. I can help with the deposit. I'll call the university myself." I studied her face. For the first time, she looked 18. Not entitled. Just inexperienced. Lauren exhaled a breath she'd been holding for years. "Daniel." I didn't answer immediately, because this wasn't about punishment. It was about posture. "You will call them," I said to Mia. "You will explain the delay. You will arrange a payment plan. You will contribute." She nodded again. "And the car?" she asked quietly. "You'll carry part of the insurance," I said. "If it's in my name, it's my liability. If you want independence, you share the weight." Cole looked at me differently now. Less wary. More aware. "I didn't mean what I said at the field," Mia added. "I know," I replied. "You meant something worse." She winced. "But you're learning," I continued. "And that matters." Lauren reached for my hand. For once, it didn't feel like management. It felt like acknowledgement. Over the next week, things shifted subtly. Mia got a part-time job at a local boutique. Not glamorous. Not curated for social media. Just work. She paid a portion of the deposit herself. Not most of it, but enough to feel it. She called the insurance company with me present. Listened. Asked questions. Didn't roll her eyes. Cole started speaking to me directly. no longer routing everything through his mother. And Lauren stopped laughing off disrespect. I didn't slam the door permanently, but I didn't return to silent sponsorship either. The dynamic changed because the illusion ended. I stopped being background infrastructure. I became visible. Sometimes, in the evenings, I sit on the back porch and think about that football field. The heat, the flash of the camera, the sentence that could have passed as small. "You're just an extra." It would have been easier to swallow it, to pay anyway, to preserve comfort. But comfort built on erasure isn't stability. It's surrender. Now the house feels different. Not warmer, not softer, more honest. Mia still loves her father. She should. But she also looks at me when she speaks. And that look carries weight. I didn't demand a title. I demanded alignment between words and reality. Sometimes the strongest way to remind people of your value is not to shout, but to step aside and let silence expose the structure you were holding up. So tell me, was I wrong to withdraw what I was told didn't belong to me?